Hey everyone! To access the editor, all you need to do, you need to click on this toolbar button here, or you can come to View, Editor Window, or Ctrl-Shift-E. The editor window is essentially a table containing all operations that Opcenter APS has to schedule and allows you to filter the data, to highlight operations so it's easy to select what you want to schedule, for example. Let's start with customizing this screen. So the first thing you can do, it is reordering the columns. So for example, the order number, if you wanna, you can drag and drop it to a different position. You see that whenever you're dragging and dropping, it tells you where the drop will happen. And also it can happen to the group by area where I'm gonna be explaining this pretty soon. So if you look at it, you can drag and drop under or above a field as well. But to be quite honest with you, I don't see this having any sort of practical functionality. Okay, so let me come back to the way it was before. Okay, so you can reorder. Of course, you can also remove. So for example, operation progress, if you want to remove, all you need to do, you need to drop it outside of the editor. Besides removing fields, reordering fields, you can resize fields. Okay, this can be useful, for example, if it is a pretty small field such as this one. Sometimes it's hard to click on the filter option here to type what you want to filter. So a practical way to solve this is by increasing its size. Of course, you can also add new fields. One way to do it is by right-clicking the header and coming here into the field chooser. This option it's also available in the view menu, field chooser here. So when you select the field chooser, it opens a list containing every single available field that you can add to your editor table. So you can add that field in two different ways. Either you double click, so double click it, it's going to add it to the default position, or you can drag it and drop it. So for example, you can drag and drop, and then the drag and drop will be as I demonstrated before. Be careful with this, because the more you add and remove fields, the slower the system will get. Essentially, it is a bug in the system, but to solve it, if you see that it's getting slow adding new fields or removing fields, all you need to do, you need to close the sequencer and open it again. Okay? All right, so that's how you can customize the table here. One last option that you can do, you can use the group by area. So let me add a new field here called table attribute 1. Double click on it. So, and also table attribute 3. Okay, so for example, if you wanna group by this field over here, all you need to do, you need to drop it to this group by area. And now every distinctive record for the table attribute 3 field will be displayed here. And you can see how many operations or how many records each table attribute 3 value contains. So for example, this one contains 129 operations. So if you click on this, you're going to see all of those operations. And you can add further levels to the group by. So if you want to group by the table attribute 1, now you're going to have 2 different levels. So if you expand, for example, this one over here, you're going to see all of those distinct values that contains inside this table attribute 3 value here. And then inside of them, you're going to see all operations that match this value here and this value over here. Okay, so that can be a quick way for you to evaluate the data that you have in your hand to schedule. To remove this, all you need to do, it's similar to the removing fields. And if this is bothering you, right, the size of the group by area, all you need to do, you need to click on the, this thin line above it to shrink it. Okay. All right. So another important information that you need to understand is when the editor is activated, like it is right now. If you come to view, you have new options. Okay. So hide children, highlight selected record, show inherit items, field chooser, reset layout, and save customizations on exit. To understand the hide children and show inherit items, you need to understand the relationship between records, between the parent record, which is essentially most of the time the first operation, and the child operations or the child records. If you look at this section over here, you see there is no information, right? So that is because the part number of this record over here is exactly the same as the parent information. Okay? By default, Opcenter APS doesn't display inherit items. And if you want to change this, you can come to view and click on show inherit items. Okay, so now you see that information as a thin gray, in a thin gray color. Okay. Speaking a little bit more about the parent and child records, and one good way to fully understand this is if you double click, for example, this operation 30, which is a child record, you see that order number is still here, the order type is still here, the part number, and so on. But they are read-only information. If you want to edit those informations, you need to go to the parent record, which is this one here. So you see now you can change the information. So for example, I'm going to change the order status here to suggested, and you see that it changed for this one, but if you double click here, it's also going to tell you that it's suggested, because those information are inherent for the parent record. And the parent record, you can tell it which one it is by the belongs to order number. So this is essentially the parent record. So if you go to it, you see that it belongs to order number, it tells you it is parent. Okay? So this can help you also to understand what hide children does. If you click on it, now you don't see any child record anymore. And now every record, every row that you see in this table, it is going to be the header, the parent record for each order, right? Okay, so, all right. Another important feature is selecting records in the table. Selecting record, it is not the same as highlighting records, okay? So, for example, here I have this operation 50 from this order here, selected right now. And if you want to select more, there are several ways to do so. You can left click and drag and drop to select everything in between the beginning of the drag and when you drop it. And you also can hold Ctrl and keep selecting records, and holding Ctrl is going to add to what is already selected. Another way is you select the first record, hold Shift, and you select the last record that you want to select everything, and holding Shift, what it does is select all records, all rows in between. And you can use that in conjunction, right? So holding Ctrl or holding Ctrl and Shift to keep selecting records in here. And this is important because with this, you can do two different things. One, you can copy it and paste it into an Excel file. So let me open an Excel file here. So if you copy it and paste it into an Excel file, then you're going to have those selected records only there. Okay? Keep in mind that doing so, if you don't have inherit items flag, every child record will have empty information in parent columns. Okay? And those two first columns here, they are essentially those two columns over here, right? So the not schedule or schedule, and the icon itself where you can leave your mouse to see the tip display. So that's how the preview here essentially it's never going to tell you anything, but the status will tell you if that operation is scheduled or not. So coming back here, I was explaining about selecting and that you can do two different stuff. One is copying and pasting into Excel. Another one is highlighting operations. So if you come to view here, there is this highlight selected records that you can click, or you can click on F7 as a shortcut, or you can right click to open the right click menu, come to highlight options, select a record. So when you do so, now those operations, they are all highlighted. So you can tell that those operations are not highlighted because of the thin gray information for every child records here. Okay, so now if you come to sequence, forward sequence, and by due date, everything that is highlighted will Opcenter APS will attempt to schedule. And now you see that it's telling schedule within set time constraint. So if you copy, for example, those operations, and let me also show inherit items, and if you copy that and come back to Excel and paste it, you see that the status change. And also, because I clicked on inherit, show inherit items, you see in the child records every information. So that can be a better way for you to, analyze and filter the data in Excel. All right, so this it were not selected, so I selected only those and I copy on the same. That's why you see this like this. Okay. All right, so let me come back to the way it was before. So this highlighting using the editor and scheduling, it is incredibly powerful. In my personal point of view, it is the best way for you to really understand what you are asking Opcenter APS to schedule or unschedule. And because you can use the filtering option together with that, it becomes very, very powerful. So let's talk about the filtering option now. So you see that you have the filter row, and you have two types of filtering, text field or numerical and date and time. So for example, this is a due date, so it's a date field. So you see that it has this equal sign. Order number is a text field, and you see this icon over here. Operation number is a numerical field, so you see also the equal sign. Okay. So clicking on for the text. So let me see this here. You can change how Opcenter APS will filter the rows. You can use the equal, not equal, less than, greater than, contains, and all of those filtering options. And it has even more options that you see in softwares like Excel. You can use regular expression if you know how to use regular expression. And also you have the in option here. Okay, so let's talk about some of those options. So for example, it starts with, so if I say A, nothing starts with A, right? But if I say R, a lot of records starts with R. But if I change this to equal, now I need to type exactly what I want to filter. So for example, RM57 exists. In and not in, they are a special type of filter. But before explaining this, just remember that you have this drop-down icon that it's going to demonstrate you all distinct values for available in this column, and you can do the filtering using this as well. Okay, and the in together with that drop down allow you to flag multiple values at the same time. Okay, so for example, here I know that this field it's the project number. So let me now select several different projects. So I wanted those this, and this project over here, those three projects, okay? And all of them, all of those three projects, they are now filtered. And another way you could, now, if you want to schedule all of those operations here, all you need to do, you need to select all of them using the abilities that I already demonstrated to you, or you can just left click any one and Control A to select all, right? And now you can do the F7, or you can come here, view, highlight, select records, or right click, highlight options, selected records. And if you now ask for a schedule, this schedule will happen only for those records over here, right? Okay, so you see that those are the one highlighted in here. So if I cancel all highlights, and if I ask, let me come back to the overview. If I ask now for another schedule, you see that everything else will be scheduled after that. Okay. So this is the text filter. Numerical filter for dates and numbers, they have less options, right? So you only have the equal, not equal, less than, and greater than. And that also works for dates, which can be very handy. So for example, let me put here the demand date. Remember when I told you that adding new fields after playing with it, it becomes a little bit slow. So you just saw that happening here. So if you say greater than, you can type now a date. So for example, 06/01/2022. Sorry, 06/01/2022. Yeah. So now let me increase the size to see better. So you see that all of those records, they will be only showing records that are greater than this. Okay. Let me select here the date itself. Yeah, and paste it here, so it's better. Typing can be a little bit messy in here. Another option, of course, you can just select a value. So for example, if I want every record that has a demand date greater than 1st of October 2022, you click in here, and then you're going to see exactly that, right? So this can be very useful if you want to, highlight, for example, only MRP start date of before a certain date to schedule those operations. That's a handy way to do so. And of course, filtering here works in conjunction. So if you now filter here, I'm going to select this project. Those are the records that are, satisfying those two conditions here. So let me select multiple ones. There you go. Oh, misclicked. Sorry, guys. Okay, and you see that you can pretty much use all of them. So there is a flaw in Opcenter APS in my point of view. There is not a single button to remove all filters. Okay, if you wanted to remove all filters, there is a trick. I'm going to tell you that, but the standard way is by left-clicking on each one of those remove filter icons here. But the tricky thing that you can do is by adding or removing a column. So let me remove the belongs to order number. So you see that it's, as I mentioned about the bug, it's taking some time to do so. Yeah, it's done, and you see that all filters goes away. So it's a little tricky that can help you from time to time. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk to you about is the right click here in order to see further options. So if you right click the header, you have the sort ascending, descending, sorting within family, show filter row, show group by area, field chooser, which we already explained, save customizations on exit, and reset layout. So let's talk about those two first. The filter row is exactly this row over here, and the group by area is this row. So if you wanna, you can just remove them if you don't want to use them, okay? The filter, the sorting ability, you can do that in two different ways. Either right-clicking here or left-clicking on, of course, this is the priority just one, left-clicking here on the header itself, okay? So now I'm sorting ascending, and now I'm sorting descending. But you see that the sorting is happening inside the family, right? So here, remember this operation number 10 is the parent only, so that's the one that gets, you know, kind of a black font color. Yeah, so that's the original position. But the sorting is happening within the family, right? So what, if you want to change that, you can right-click and remove this sort within family. So now if I sort it by either ascending or descending, it's gonna pick up, for example, ascending, all operation 10 for all orders, and we put first then operation 20, then operation 30, and so on. So let's do that. You see? All operation 10, then below you're gonna see all operation 20 at some point. Oh, lots of operation 10 here, right? Yeah, now operation 20, and if you keep scrolling, you're gonna see 30, 40, and so on and so forth. So understanding the sort within family, so I just enable it now again, and I will sort it again to come back to the way it was before. Okay, right-clicking here, there is save customization on exit. So now all of those changes that I made, if I leave the editor, let me leave it, and if you open it again, all of those changes that you made are kept as when you close the sequencer. And if you click on reset layout, it's going to roll back to the default layout, okay? Right. So right-clicking the operation, you have some options here. So you can copy the data as I showed you before. You can edit, which is essentially double-clicking operation. So if you do the edit here, it's exactly the same. You can insert a new record, right? You can delete. This deletion happens to every selected record. So for example, if you want to delete all of those three operations, you select them and then you delete. So you see that it's warning you that you're going to delete 3 records. And that's it. And of course, you can undo the deletion as well. And you can split batch. I'm going to be talking about this in a different video. Showing Material Explorer, there is already a video for that. And there is the highlight options, right? I'm going to be explaining about all of those options here also in a different video. But the remove operation, removing from planning board and place on planning board, they can be useful. So for example, if you right-click any operation here, let me unschedule. So for example, I right-click this operation, and if you come here, place on planning board for all operation, it's going to schedule that order and any subsequent order as well. As you can see, it's scheduled here. So let me see if I can find one that's going to schedule place on planning board. So let me do different. So let me schedule everything. Let me look for one order in the way that I want it. This order here. Let me filter it. Let me remove everything. And now, in this one, if I do a for all operations, because this order has related, subsequent order, the subsequent order also get a schedule, okay? And you can also remove from planning board. You can remove all operations, But the difference is that the remove from planning board will only work for operations within the same order. Okay, so it's a difference between the remove from planning board and place on planning board. So for example, remove from planning board, if I click on remove all operations, you see that it all goes away here, but the child order, the pegged order, doesn't get unscheduled. Okay, so let me undo. And if you come here, remove from planning board all previous, so it's gonna unschedule all previous and all subsequent as well, but all subsequent and all previous only within the same order. Okay, as you see here, that child order still is scheduled. Okay, so one last trick, which is if you wanna, for example, this order here, you wanna select this order in the editor. If you right click here, there is an option called select in editor, right? So you do so, and you're gonna be taken directly to that order. So it's a little trick that most is not aware as well. Okay, I know the video it's a little bit long, but it's a complex screen that can help a lot. So I suggest you to take your time, learn it, play with it, understand exactly how it works, and I'm sure you're gonna take some benefits by doing so. That's it. Thank you.